Chapter 6, Irresponsible Parents. Xiaozibei returned with her 6,000 yuan to the small house where she lived, and her mood finally improved. Money was not everything, but having no money was absolutely impossible. As for Deng Haiqiang, she had already put him at the back of her mind. Deng Haiqiang had been putting opium husks in the meat, so the meat he cooked was addictive, and that made the business quite good. This was tricking others to take drugs, which was illegal and also a crime. Xiaozibei had seen a large bag of opium husks in the storeroom back when she started, and if he was found out, he would be guilty of a serious crime. Moreover, she reported to the health department that the sanitation in the store was not up to standard. There were often mice and cockroaches in the kitchen. As for him wanting to sue her for beating him, it would not be a problem. Deng Haiqiang looked honest, but it was not the case at all. He was stingy. He had installed a surveillance camera in the restaurant, but it only recorded the area by the cash register, so Xiaozibei didn't hesitate to hit him. If he wanted to go to the hospital to check for injuries, he would find out that he was fine. If he still insisted on making trouble by then, he would have no time because Xiaozibei had planned more things for him. Although Deng Haiqiang was rotten and stingy, he was still very generous to his lovers. Moreover, he was tall and built, so he was quite attractive to some women. Xiaozibei had told these women's husbands about the affairs. After Deng Haiqiang got out of prison, he would still have to deal with the anger of those people. By that point, she did not believe that Deng Haiqiang would still have the energy to make things difficult for her. Back in the small, dark, and dilapidated house, Xiaozibei frowned. When she was 7 years old, her parents divorced and had their own families, so she was left behind in this old house as if she were a burden. In the beginning, she and her grandma had lived here. When she was 14 years old, her grandma passed away, then she started living here by herself. Her parents only gave her 300 yuan a month, which had not changed. In this day and age, what could 300 yuan do? It cost at least 8 yuan to eat fast food. If one got sick, it would be even more troublesome. Therefore, Xiaozibei could only go get a job. Sitting on the sofa, Xiaozibei wanted to slap herself. Why was she so stupid in the first place? Why did she have to carry everything herself? She was still a minor. She had been working hard here, but her parents were living leisurely, so why after 2 lifetimes of precipitation, she no longer had any feelings for her parents? Even if there were, they were all wiped out because of what her parents did later on. In a year, this place was going to be demolished. Her father had come and had taken all the payment for the demolition of the house, leaving her with no place to stay. She fought so hard to finally become a second-tier star a few years later, then her parents showed up to ask for money. If she refused, they would spread all kinds of rumors about her. Thinking of this, Xiaozibei's gaze became even colder. This time, she wouldn't be so stupid and let them bully her. Thinking of this, she picked up the phone and dialed one of the numbers that had been stored for a long time but was rarely used. After a while, there was an impatient male voice. "Didn't I tell you not to call me Ting Ting? Be careful. Dad will get you the water." The voice had been very impatient at first, but then it became gentle. The difference between the two would make one feel emotional. But Xiaozibei had long since stopped being affected by these emotions. In a calm manner, she said, "I want money. Give me 200,000 yuan. 200,000 yuan? Are you insane?" Chapter 7, I Want Money. She wanted 200,000 yuan. Xia Shaha thought that he either misheard or Xiaozibei was talking nonsense. "Are you crazy? 200,000? You might as well go out and rob it." Xiaozibei's mouth twitched. "I'm not crazy. If you don't give me the money, I will go to your company to find you. By the way, I will figure out how much support you have owed me over the years. Xia Shaha was furious and spoke in a loud voice. How dare you? Why wouldn't I dare? Xia Zibei snorted. If other people knew that you only give your daughter 300 yuan a month in support and then went out to eat, drink, and have fun with your current wife and children, who will it embarrass? I think you know the answer really well. These words shocked Xia Shaha. If Xia Zibei really were to do this, it would certainly have some impact. If his business partners were to know this, they would either doubt his character or worry about his ability. As Xia Shaha was thinking about this, Xia Zibei's devious whispers had reached his ear. You can't even support your own children. Wouldn't your business partners worry about your financial resources? Don't you dare! If I can't even live anymore, why wouldn't I dare? And I really want to see my dear brother and sister. Which school are they in? Is it that? Shut up! Xia Shaha was going to die of rage. Xia Zibei was usually mute and introverted, so why was she so sharp-tongued now? What's even worse was how she was threatening him with his younger children. However, Xia Shaha's instinct was telling him that Xia Zibei wasn't lying. She would really do this. In addition to the 200,000 yuan, I want the house I am living in now. You will transfer it to me. She wants the money and the house. Xia Shaha was so angry that this damn girl dared to make more demands. Tomorrow is Monday, I will take time off and wait for you. If you don't come, I will go and look for all of you. And maybe I will stay with you for a few days, we can work on improving our relationship. Xia Shaha gritted his teeth, his face turning dark, but he could only nod in the end. Okay, I'll be over tomorrow. After talking, he angrily hung up. Xia Zibei looked at the phone she got hung up on and raised an eyebrow. She then dialed another number. Why are you calling again? I am busy here. On the other end, Dong Shulan sounded even more impatient than Xia Shaha. Give me 200,000 yuan. Xia Zibei's words were like a pinch to her neck. 200,000 yuan. Are you crazy? Dong Shulan's reaction was exactly the same as Xia Shaha's. Who would have thought that Xia Zibei, who was silent and introverted before, would make such a demand? She might as well rob the 200,000 yuan. If you don't give me the money, I'll go find you at your school, and by the way, I will discuss with the police about the crime of child trafficking. You? How did you know? Dong Shulan's face was pale on the other end. She thought she was hallucinating. Otherwise, how could Xia Zibei have known about this? You don't need to worry about how I know. Since you have brought me back, then you have to take the responsibility. Give me 200,000 yuan, and then sign a relationship severance letter. I will not go look for you in the future. Of course, don't try to find me either. Dong Shulan looked at the phone, her mind was blank. 200,000 yuan. Transferred to my account tomorrow. Otherwise, I won't mind talking to your husband about what you have done. Anyway, I have a lot of free time. Xia Zibei's extortion technique had leveled up after the first call. Fine. I'll do it. Chapter 8, She must have been possessed. After hanging up the call, Xia Zibei stood up from the sofa and did some stretching. She sure knew she wasn't the biological child of the Xia family, however, neither was she interested in looking for her own biological parents. All the ties she shared with them had been severed from the time they decided to sell her to Dong Shulan back then. Having lived 2 lifetimes, Xia Zibei had learnt a lesson: it is best to rely on yourself, because mountains against which you lean, collapse, and people upon whom you depend, vanish. Hence, in this lifetime, she would march to the top all by herself. Xia Shaha came over early the next morning, with a dark, overcast look on his face, as if a thunderstorm was approaching. He had never thought of being threatened by a little girl. And that little girl was even his own daughter. As he kept his eyes on Xia Zibei, who was sitting on the sofa, he subconsciously dashed over, raised his hand high, and slammed it down on her. Ah! Xia Zibei clasped her cheek and fell backward onto the sofa. Godda-en little girl, how dare you ask money from me? Xia Shaha furiously berated as he held back the urge to give another slap. Ah! However, he let out an agonized scream the next moment and staggered a few steps back, collapsing into another narrow sofa. He clutched at his own belly and stared at Xia Zibei in disbelief. How dare you fight me back? Mr. Xia, you have forgotten something. Xia Zibei stood up and dropped the hand that was covering her cheek. There wasn't the slightest mark on her face. She was looking down at him from above, with an indifferent look in her eyes. If I had the courage to call you and ask for money, I sure enough wasn't afraid that you'd raise a hand to me. She went on, if you remain adamant, I have no choice but to hand the evidence over to the police. I'd like to know, the manager of a traded company who had abandoned his own child and even beat up his abandoned daughter. I suppose the reporters would be intrigued to know about such incidents. What do you mean? Xia Shaha looked at her in apprehension. Xia Zibei responded by getting hold of her phone from the side and clicking the start of the video that was just recorded. She turned the screen to him. As he watched his own ferocious self and the slap he gave, Xia Shaha's face turned ashen. He was tricked. Besides, the phone held in Xia Zibei's hand was the new product of a well-known brand, which cost at least 5,000 yuan. From where did she get the money? That wasn't the point, of course. The point was, Xia Zibei had gotten the whole incident recorded. If it were made public, it would be a big shame on him. Give me your phone. Xia Shaha stood up and darted toward her. However, he was kicked back onto the sofa midway. He stared at Xia Zibei in total disbelief. Since when had she acquired such intrepid power? A malicious smile appeared on Xia Zibei's gorgeous face. Mr. Xia, do you still think I'm still the little girl who let herself be bullied and never fought back? Xia Shaha wanted a son, but she was a daughter, so it was a norm for her to get scolded and beaten. Xia Shaha couldn't help but shudder. Xia Zibei's reaction was terrifying. Aren't you afraid that I will reveal what happened to you to the public? Xia Shaha shouted, seeming stern but weak inside. Just do it, Xia Zibei shrugged. But whose words do you think are more convincing if I upload this video, and go to the reporters and the police to lodge a tearful complaint? I suppose you can imagine the outcome. All I'm asking for right now are the 200,000 yuan that I deserve and this tiny house. Is that too much? As he watched Xia Zibei speaking the intimidating words with a calm look on her face, Xia Shaha felt his blood run cold. He thought, Xia Zibei must have been possessed. However, even if that was true, he had no other way out. Eventually, he gritted his teeth. All right, I'll give it to you. Xia Zibei finally beamed cheerfully. That's the right way. That way, we don't have to waste any time.